Hi everyone, Ted Wyman here for Postmedia with another edition of On the Rocks. And today we're going to talk about the Tim Hortons Brier. And who better to talk about it than a guy who's won it 3 times, including last year. We're joined by Brad Gushue of Newfoundland. And Brad, welcome to the show. And well, you're finally there in Calgary. It's been a long road just to get there. Tell us a bit about, just what this whole experience has been like so far.
Getting to the bubble, it's been pretty smooth the last couple of days. I think the weeks and months leading up to it was stressful. Certainly in Newfoundland with the outbreak that we had over the last month. And my daughters had some close contacts and worried about catching it before we get into the bubble. So there was a bit of anxiety, I guess, as we were getting here. But once we got our negative test a few days before we left, and we were all kind of in our own little bubble in the house, I felt pretty good. And yeah, it's been pretty smooth so far up to this point. We got a full day now in the hotel. We had a full day yesterday, and then hopefully get out to practice tomorrow.
Well, practice, what the heck's that, right? For a lot of the teams that are in this thing, there just hasn't been that opportunity because of the pandemic, because so many of the clubs are closed. What's your situation been? I know there was an Atlantic curling bubble, and you did curl quite a bit before Christmas, didn't you?
I wouldn't say quite a bit. We played 2 events. That's all we played, and Jeff couldn't take part in it. So we haven't played a game as a team since the Brier final last year. So we're going to be a little bit rusty as a team, but we did play 2 events, and we picked up a couple of young guys. One is here as our 5th this week. And we were fortunate before Christmas to be able to practice. Really for us in Newfoundland, the big issue has been in February where we had the outbreak, and our practice has been pretty well eliminated. So we are a little rusty coming in here, and just the lack of games, lack of practice, lack of time together as a team, creates that level of uncertainty as we start the Brier.
What did you learn from watching the Scotties that you can take into this event? They kind of were the guinea pigs for all of this.
Yeah. I learned that you're probably going to have to accept some mistakes. I think we seen with the women's that they were a little bit rusty at the start, which is completely understandable. I think we're going to see that in the Brier this week. So I think you can't be too hard on yourself if you miss a shot or you miss an opportunity, because there's probably going to be more of that than there typically is at a Brier. So wrapping your head around that is going to be important. And then really kind of just embracing this bubble and the opportunity that we have to curl while, there's a big part of the country that are still in some form of a lockdown or restrictions. So, I think Carrie and her team did a great job. They look like they had the most fun out there, and it proved with the results. So trying to take a little bit of that attitude, I think, is important.
Well, you would know about that, Brad. Once you won your first one, and you spent a long time trying to win that first one, once you won your first one, do you get more comfortable? Do you get more loose out there? Because you could tell with the Anderson team that they were having a different kind of experience wearing those Team Canada colors than they were, I think, in previous years.
Yeah, I think it does. Once you win, it takes that, that monkey off your back, especially if you've been close for a long time, which we were. We had lost a couple finals, a number of semifinals, and 3-4 games. So we were kind of knocking at the door for better part of 15 years. So to finally break through, it did, when we went back in 2018, we did feel a lot less stress, and that's probably the best Brier we've ever played, and probably the best we've ever played as a team, because we were so free and we were just enjoying it and having fun and didn't feel the pressure that we felt before. Then the last couple of years, same sort of thing. Like we've won, so it's not, you don't feel like it's life or death sometimes when you haven't won one. So it takes a little bit of that burden away.
Well, last year was, in my opinion, a pretty impressive win just because of the quality of the teams that were there and the quality of play at that Brier in Kingston. I mean, doesn't that seem like 100 years ago now, since everything that's happened like a few days after that ended? But it really was a great Brier, and there were so many memorable shots and so many memorable performances by high-end teams. To come out and win an event like that has to be really great for the confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Last year, and I say this just about every year, but I say it with some meaning behind it and some being genuine that it was the best field that we had ever taken part in the Brier, and obviously this year with the addition of a couple more teams, it's deep. It's a really deep Brier this year, and all the best teams are here in the country. So you can make an argument that this is the best field that we've ever played in. Maybe not the you know, I guess there's probably some the depth here isn't quite what it was last year, I guess, but certainly having the addition of the wild card teams like Glenn Howard and Mike and Kevin, and it makes that top 10, I would think, pretty darn strong. So to get through last year with the level of play that was there, looking back, I'm pretty proud of it. There were some incredible shots, some incredible games. I remember our game against Jacobs in the round robin where, we give up 4 in the first end and fight our way back. It was just a wild game, very well curled game by both teams. And then the playoffs, we just got on a run and started making every hit and roll, and the rest is history. So, yeah, I'm pretty proud of last year. It was certainly felt a lot different than the first 2 wins, but I imagine they're all going to feel, a little bit different.
I don't know whether you'd ever get a chance to talk to Brendon Butcher, but here's a guy who in some ways you could identify with as well, because you spent so many years knocking at the door. He's been in the final 3 straight years, and that has
Yeah.
to be discouraging when you don't win it, but he seems to always come back and just take another run at it. What do you say to a guy in a situation like that?
I said to him after the game last year, his time will come, and it will. And I remember saying that to Val after she had a couple final losses, and sure enough, her time has come with what they've done in the last 2 years. Brendon's really talented. He's going to have more opportunities. It's obviously disappointing to lose 3 in a row, but you got to take some pride in the fact that you put yourself in a position to win the last 3 years. And whether it's this year, whether it's 5 years down the road, whether it's 10 years down the road, I'm not sure, but I'm confident at some point that team will win, and that Brendon will get a Brier, if not multiple, just because I see the ability that he has, and the composure that he has. He is a great player, so I just hope all those wins happen after I'm done, because I got a few years on him, so hopefully he's patient and waits a few more.
One of your most memorable moments in curling was making a great shot in Newfoundland, in St. John's, in front of a huge roaring crowd, helping that rock along as you go for the win. You're not going to have any of that this time. I feel like you're a guy that plays to the fans, that you embrace the entertainment aspect of the game. How are you going to adjust things for that?
To be honest, that's kind of the biggest challenge I think we're going to face coming in. And by we, I mean our team. I think you hit the nail on the head. We really embrace the crowd and enjoy it. I think we've been fortunate over my career to be a fan favorite in most places that we go to. So we always enjoy those roars and those, that when you make that shot and you hear that roar, it just gives you a little bit of chill. Like that's kind of the moments that I kind of thrive for at big curling events. So to not have it this year, that's going to be a challenge. And the one thing that I would say about, last week's Scotties, I found after Kerry won, that was really awkward there, without hearing the noise, without having the huge celebration. I found that one just a little bit awkward, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do or how to feel here. So that moment gets taken away a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, you're going to look back and think about all the things you overcame to win the Scotties or to win the Brier within the bubble. So the team that wins this week, as Kerry did last week, is certainly going to have, a little, notch in the belt, I think, to say that they won in the bubble with all of the adversity that surrounds it.
I don't think anyone's going to forget that particular event, no matter what, even though there were no crowds there. But you know, you and Carrie have something else in common in that you both did have something taken away from you by this pandemic, and that was your opportunities to represent Canada at the World Championship. There is a men's World Championship currently scheduled for the bubble. We're not sure about what will happen with the women's, but you know, you got to go and win this again if you want to get there. It probably isn't quite as hard on you because you have done this before. You have represented Canada at the Olympics and at the Worlds. You know, do you feel bad for her for just not being able to experience that?
Yeah, I do. I certainly hope they can make something work because the opportunity to represent Canada doesn't come around very much, and to win the Scotties twice and not get that opportunity, I'd feel awful for her, to be honest. You know, two of the greatest privileges I've had in my, I shouldn't say two, it's been happened 4 or 5 times, but those privileges of wearing the maple leaf on your back and representing your country at a world championship it's different than anything else, whether you go there and win or not. Just knowing that you got through the toughest country in the world in the sport of curling, and you get to wear that maple leaf, and we're all very proud to be Canadian in what Canada stands for. So to represent the country on a world stage, it's awesome. So I certainly hope they can make something work for Carrie and the rest of the team, and even Shannon. Like, think of Shannon now after winning 3 Scotties and not getting a chance to go to the World Championships. I certainly hope they can make it happen. It won't be the same experience without the fans there, but again, just getting that jacket, wearing it out there with all the other countries, that's going to be pretty special for them. So fingers crossed.
Absolutely, and fingers crossed that everything goes as well at the Brier as it did at the Scotties. There were no positive tests for COVID-19, not a lot of fluctuation in the schedule, and it went really well. And I'm hoping it goes just as well for you, Brad. Thank you so much for joining us here. For Postmedia, I'm Ted Wyman. You've been watching me with Brad Gushue on the Rocks.